In this grade 12 economics video, we are looking at the paper 1 scope for the May-June 2025 examination. This video is going to cater for both the class of 2025, meaning those of you who are fresh from grade 11 and are doing matric for the first time. If you have already written, let me go ahead and apologize, but if you haven't, this is the video just for you. And then it is also going to cater to matric rewrites and upgrade, meaning the second chance matric. The good news is I now offer once-off live virtual classes to help you with your last-minute preparations for your exam papers. The timetable you are looking at shows you the upcoming virtual class date so that you can book for your papers accordingly. Booking your session is very simple and affordable. All you have to do is send me an email on the email address you are seeing on the screen, and on the subject line write exam prep. So section A is going to look different depending on whether you are in the class of 2025, and like I explained before, by class of 2025 I mean the matriculants who are in school uniform, going to matric for the first time ever in their life, and they are fresh from grade 11, meaning in 2024 you were in grade 11 and in 2025 you were doing matric for the first time. I'm classifying that because I know that there are some people in the second chance program who they are doing matric but it is for the first time, meaning that they've never done matric before. But the difference is last year you were not in grade 11, so in the class of 2025 I'm not necessarily talking about you. I am including you with everybody who's going to be writing the second chance matric, because you are writing the same paper with the people who are rewriting and upgrading their matric. So that's the second chance program, and that's who I'm talking about. So the people who were in matric last year or a couple of years ago and they are rewriting their matric or they are upgrading their matric, or the people who are above the age of 21 and they're doing their matric for the first time but they have registered with the department, they're not in school uniform. Okay, now that we have explained that, in the class of 2025, your section A is going to be based on microeconomics. The reason is that in paper 1 we are dealing with microeconomics and economic pursuits, but with the class of 2025 there are some topics that, as you know, belong to term 3. So in the economic pursuits main topic, you have only done one topic up to so far, depending on how fast your teacher is. But according to the ATP, you will most likely only have done only one topic in economic pursuits, which is going to pop up in section C. As far as section A is concerned, you will be most likely test on the topics that fall under microeconomics. We are going to get into what are those topics when we get to section B, so that's in the next chapter of this video. For second chance matriculants, because you are tested on the overall basis that you have covered all the content of matric, meaning that you did matric last year and this year you're only upgrading, and you are upgrading from the paper that was a final paper that was written in November. Now, the paper that is written in November will cover all topics. So that means that for your section A, you will cover both macroeconomics and economic pursuits. Now in section B, we are going to get into what falls under microeconomics and what falls under economic pursuits. But just know you cover both and you will find them in section A. Section B has questions 2 to 4 for which you are required to answer only 2 of them. Now let's start with the class of 2025. For all your questions from question 2, question 3 and question 4, they are all going to be based on microeconomics, meaning that it's going to be a mix of questions that are coming from microeconomics. So what is included in microeconomics is the topics of the circular flow, business cycle, public sector, and foreign exchange markets. All of these topics we have already done individual videos on how everything works and also how to answer exam questions with regards to these. And also, if you refer back to the essay predictions for the March 2025 test, you will see that we have already done how to answer essay questions on these topics. These topics are from term 1 up to term 2, so most of them had already appeared in your March test. What I would do as a precaution though is that when I'm studying it, I would look at the March question paper to see what was in there. So, for example, if in the March question paper they focused more on the circular flow diagram, it is most likely that in the June question papers they will focus on the markets or maybe the multiplier when it comes to the circular flow. Similarly, with the business cycles, if in March they focused a lot on the composition of the business cycle and different types of business cycles, when it comes to the June test, you may move forward to topics like the forecasting as well as the new economic paradigm. Those are the ones that you can expect to be tested. Now, foreign exchange market was one of the topics that you would have done last when it comes to term 1. So most likely it was not there in your March question paper, or it was only a few questions in the March question paper. So when it now comes to the June question paper, you can expect that it will be very heavy on the foreign exchange market. That includes the whole balance of payments. So all of that, you would have noticed that in the March paper they did not focus on them much. So the foreign exchange market is the one topic that I would make sure that I focus on if I'm writing in June, only because it was not tested so much in the March test paper. So that means that it's going to make a major part of the June paper. When we get to the second chance metric, what we're looking at is that question 2 is going to be on microeconomics, whereas question 3 is going to be on economic pursuits. And then in question 4, you're going to have a mix of both, meaning that you're going to have the question be divided into 4.1 and 4.2. 4.1 will be macroeconomics and 4.2 will be economic pursuits. Obviously, remember, you are required to only choose 2 of these. So you could answer question 2 and question 4, or question 3 and question 4, or you could answer question 2 and 3. It's all up to you. But essentially what it does is, for second chance metric, it's going to include the whole scope of economics as far as grade 12 is concerned. In microeconomics, we are looking at the very same topics that the class of 2025 is looking at, which is the circular flow, the business cycle, the public sector, and the foreign exchange market. But then in the economic pursuits, we are looking at protectionism and free trade, economic growth and development, industrial development, economic and social indicators. This is everything that your question paper is going to be about, meaning that even in section A, when I said to you that section A is going to be on macroeconomics and economic pursuits, what I was talking about is that all of those questions are going to stem from these topics that you are looking at here. In section A, obviously it's compulsory, you will have no choice, so that means you have to know a little bit in every single one of these topics that you are seeing here. Whereas in section B, you have the luxury of being able to choose. So let's say you have found the time to master microeconomics. So when it comes to section B, you can just simply choose to answer question 2 and then also answer question 4, because you know that in question 2 you will get the maximum amount of marks, and in question 4 at least half of it you are guaranteed of it, and then you can take your chance with the rest of the other half that relates to economic pursuits. Or if you're one person who has been studying economic pursuits, then you can go into the question paper knowing that you're going to gun straight for question 3 and maybe question 4, because you know that you are comfortable with at least 50% of question 4. So you will be comfortable with 100% of question 3 and then 50% of question 4. So that gives you a good balance. So for that part that you're not comfortable with, you can use the knowledge that you would have gained while you were preparing for section A, because remember, section A is compulsory, so you have to know both main topics. Section C, as you know, is the essay section of your question paper. So for the class of 2025, what you can expect is that question 5 will be based on microeconomics. So everything else that you have been preparing for section A and section B may come up again as part of an essay question. So it is possible to have an essay question on secular flow, business cycle, business, public sector, and the foreign exchange market. And then when we get to question 6, there is a possibility now of you using the one topic that you have actually covered in this term for economic pursuits, which is protectionism and free trade. So the question on protectionism and free trade may come up for the very first time in section C as an essay for question 6. So if you have prepared for yourself an essay on protectionism and free trade, you can be confident that it will come up in question 6. Protectionism and free trade, usually the essay is just based on the reasons for and against free trade. So if you have prepared that, you can be sure that it will come up as an essay. We will still do a video on more in-depth essay predictions. So basically we are going to be going through every single one of those topics to look at what are the possible essays that can come up out of them and what is most likely. So if you're interested in that one, stay tuned. The video on essay predictions for paper 1 May-June is coming up soon. But just to add a reminder, remember in section C you are also choosing only one question, so you will either answer question 5 or question 6. So if you don't find a chance to prepare for that question 6, then you're still going to be covered. You will just answer question 5. Then we get to the second chance metric. With the second chance metric, remember you are covering the whole scope of economics paper 1 for grade 12. So what it means for you is that you can expect that you will have possible 8 topics that can make an essay. So meaning that with question 5, microeconomics is going to be the essay that is going to be on question 5. Now that basically means to you that if you are preparing a macroeconomics essay, you will have to prepare yourself for a secular flow essay, a business cycles essay, a public sector essay, and a foreign exchange markets essay. We are still going to again do an essay predictions video where we will look at what is most possibly to come up under those topics and what can be tested as an essay under those topics, because it's not everything that can be turned into an essay. For example, in the secular flow, the topic of multiplier does not necessarily make up for an essay, but there are things that can make up for an essay, and so how to answer those essays and what you can expect we will cover in that video. When we get to economic pursuits, again you have 4 topics from which your essay can come from, so you should prepare those. You should only ever prepare one of them because you will answer only one. If you have YouTube recommend you more of my videos, be sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below.